So we have a vault is what we call it on the website on Arrows, where it's a bunch of bite size, how to set up XYZ dashboard or how to track, the time to first kickoff call schedule. It's a lot of bite sized things. There's no internal competition there. They're teammates and they're like, this is valuable. Number one, it's like, is it good enough to share inside Slack amongst HubSpotters in their own team? That is then like shared from them directly to their customers. So like that's the distribution primarily. We want to have those folks in our orbit. I mean, there's a million things we want to try. The challenge is not getting pulled down the path of trying all of them.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome to another episode of What's Working. Today's guest is Daniel Zarek, CEO and co-founder of Arrows.to. It was super refreshing to hear Daniel's approach to marketing because they aren't doing a lot of things. Instead, they're doing one thing exceptionally well, and that's content. Let's get into the show. So tell me, what's working in marketing today?
Yeah, so for Arrows, we focus solely on HubSpot customers. Like we're a HubSpot app built for the ecosystem. So we think a lot about how to capture demand or interest that's in the HubSpot ecosystem. Like we're not trying to market to anybody outside of that. So for us, we've found that content specific for how to do XYZ in HubSpot is usually what works. So we have a vault is what we call it on the website on Arrows, where it's a bunch of bite size, how to set up XYZ dashboard or how to track, the time to first kickoff call schedule. It's a lot of bite-sized things. And then we package those often into larger guides. So how to run customer success in HubSpot is like a more comprehensive guide that often is, packaging a bunch of the smaller things. But what we get if you like zoom out from that is there's HubSpot AEs, there's HubSpot CSMs, like they're working with HubSpot customers. Then there's agency partners and solutions partners in the ecosystem that are selling services and reselling HubSpot. And then there's other app partners that are, selling and marketing to their own customers, subsets, segment of them is HubSpot customer as well. What we find is when we make that content, like the HubSpot employees and even some of the solutions partners reshare that content with their customers. Like it either becomes stuff they're implementing with their customers or it's stuff that they're sending to their customers when they have, something that they need to do and they don't have the internal enablement resource for it. And so it kind of has helped us become a known brand in the ecosystem where people go like, oh, Arrows is helpful and they know how to do X, Y, and Z thing or topic in HubSpot. And then when we, kind of capture them coming to our site for solving that job, they end up checking out Arrows at some point.
So tell me about the distribution of that. Is it all just SEO? Are you sharing it within different forums and communities and turn it into YouTube videos as well? Are there ads running behind this stuff? Tell me more about the distribution.
I'd say like top of mind, like we try to create stuff with the idea that a HubSpot CSM would share it in their own Slack channel to their team. Like it has to be good enough that like, hey, I saw this awesome resource from Arrows. Like, this is something I'm using as a play with my customers, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
and so what you'll find is something like HubSpot is a difficult keyword to target in SEO. But when you like go search HubSpot customer onboarding, for example, or customer success in HubSpot in Google, there will be, 5 or 10 links, orange links to HubSpot. But in the middle, there's like 3 YouTube videos and they're Arrows YouTube videos, right? So we kind of have like a side door into Google search and then obviously YouTube search by having video for those topics that are, we wouldn't be able to compete on HubSpot's SEO turf so directly, but we can through video.
Right. Okay. But the key piece of content is starting in written form, whether it's a blog or a PDF or some sort of lead magnet, and then going to video, or not
always. Sometimes, yeah. It's more, we've kind of done things differently depending on what triggers it. It might be a webinar that we record and then turn into a written thing that is also on our site. How to run sales handoffs in HubSpot would be a whole webinar for an hour. Maybe we work with another app partner who does like Grain call recorder. Like we'll work with them on a video like that, and here's the call notes, and here's arrows, and here's that integrates with HubSpot. Then we like repackage that into both the written version, and then there might be two tactical vault blog posts. Those here's how to set up the workflow in HubSpot. And then those become things that we put into the newsletter for arrows or that we drip out onto social media. But we also, for a long time, less so recently, but we would treat LinkedIn as the let's go post like a video, a short video, or even a short little like tease of a topic on LinkedIn as like a pressure test sort of way to see if people are interested. Then we would go blow it up into a bigger video or guide
Right.
if that got engagement. Even so far as like we would post something like that to get people to comment if they wanted the guide that we hadn't even created yet. So
Yeah.
like, just to see if they
Yeah.
react
Smart.
and DM us. Yeah.
Would that come from your corporate LinkedIn account or team
It's
members found it?
always team members. I mean, we do stuff on, we expect that people go to the Arrows account on LinkedIn, but we more want to show signs of life there more than we care to use that as a distribution channel.
Right. Is that something that you ask of all employees to, or is that something that you own?
I do a lot of it. We had a marketer on our team, Stuart, for a long time that did a lot of it. He's doing his own content play now, and then some of our employees do it on their own. But really, like we see it work. We see people DM us. We see people show up in demos, book demos from us engaging. Um, we just see it. Everybody who does it and posts sees and feels the reaction. So we haven't really set it as an expectation. We kind of nudge people, but
Yep.
they feel the feedback loop.
Yeah. And just so that I have some context, how much of this effort, or how much, say, of your total revenue does this effort contribute to?
So when people ask us where our pipeline comes from, it's almost entirely inbound. And you think about like where like this stuff that I'm talking about is a through line through all of that. So if it's a referral from a HubSpot employee, it is, a CSM. I got on a demo. Where'd you hear about us? Like, oh, my HubSpot CSM told me. It's like they might not have sent an Arrows guide in that moment, but that CSM probably knew about us from an Arrows guide, or
Okay.
like their team member told them about Arrows because it is like the core through line through everything that helps us build a brand, build some amount of a moat through that brand, definitely a reputation in the ecosystem, and yeah, so it's like kind of the thing we're known for. And if anything, like we have focused on it too long and now need to develop more on top of it. But we just started launching a solutions partner program, and our relationship with a lot of the solutions partners and the trust we have with them is now able to be like the next motion we're laying on top of that. And it's the trust has been built through years of doing a sort of thought leadership content in the ecosystem.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay, is there anything else? So I know I'm just going to poke at the event that you're doing. Are there any other marketing initiatives that are working well right now, or you hope to work well?
Yeah, so we're testing two events in person with some of those solutions partners. So one in LA, one in New York. We might do more in the new year. The thought there often is okay, like a lot of these webinars we might do, the content we might create, like how to run customer success on HubSpot, how to configure a dashboard to, track XYZ and onboarding in HubSpot, all that sort of stuff. They work in a webinar format. They also work in an in-person format. So we'll stack a couple of those topics or, a panel type session, put two or three of those together into one multi-hour event, gather 30 to 50 people together in a space and see how that works. Again, there's always like this through line of making HubSpot the focus. So if you're coming, we know that you're slightly more engaged. It's not like so HubSpot focused that you wouldn't get value if you weren't a HubSpot customer. But if you were trying to run customer success in HubSpot or sales handoff for a pain point or, how to get your team to use HubSpot in a certain way, like you're going to come look at that content and then find arrows by
Hmm.
extension. And we want to be thought of as the obvious choice if you're trying to do customer onboarding or digital sales rooms in HubSpot. And so that like kind of always is a through line through the content.
Are there any other places that through line touches? Any other initiatives that you're thinking of for 2025?
It actually, that through line extends into the product. So as we build the product, like we're always thinking about like what new feature, when we're building a new feature, it's like, how does this affect the HubSpot integration? Like we want the integration to feel like a natural extension of HubSpot. So, what we actually do poorly now and historically is product marketing. And what we're trying to do is like do a better job of showing how those very specific HubSpot features actually work in the product. So if we're really good about talking about how to do certain things in HubSpot, we're trying to make sure we elevate the Arrows version of that more, both in like the core marketing pages that are product marketing, but also through the XYZ how-to sort of guides.
What about something that hasn't worked for you? Is there something that you expected to work well in 2024 that you tried that didn't work well?
Certainly many. What we're not particularly good at right now, and we're not sure if it's something to do with email and cold outreach, but when we do events, so we did like a very large half-day conference. It was the Happy Customers Festival. We pulled together the CEO of HubSpot. She and I did a keynote together. We pulled in a couple other app partners like PandaDoc and Aircall, and we really tried to have one giant group blow up this like bigger event. And on the one hand, it was very successful. Like a lot of people saw it, and the content was very good. And we turned that into a bunch. We thought the registration list could have been like 3 times or as big with the marketing power we had with the group. But I think we tried to jam too many teams or topics into one thing. So it's marketing, sales, success. Um, it wasn't really sharply defined for any one of them. So everybody kind of thought it was for somebody different or somebody else. And so it was something where if you got on a call with me, everybody got on a call with me. It was like, that's a genius idea. That's great. I love it. And we couldn't turn that into something that like people in a LinkedIn ad or a cold email or LinkedIn post like understood very crisply and got excited about. So that was a little bit disappointing. And then the follow through on even the registrations and the attendees were not super effective yet at turning those folks in the pipeline or following up with them. And we always felt like there's like we build up our brand through those sort of events, and people who are ready or slightly motivated come closer to us, but actually helping magnetically pull more people into the pipeline when they come attend a webinar or an event like that for us is something we've really struggled to make happen.
Is there anything else that's exciting to you on the marketing landscape, especially as you think about going into the new year? Anything you want to try?
I mean, there's a million things we want to try. The challenge is not getting pulled down the path of trying all of them. A thing that we've always tried is to make things repackageable. So like, can we record an hour long, half-hour long onboarding therapy podcast, chop that up into a couple clips like you'll do here, but then turn that into, a tactical guide over here and things. So I think we're just continuing to try to expand that and do more of that. The main thing, we just hired a new marketer, and the main thing that we always think about as a blocker for us that we're focused on most right now and through next year is just consistency. And I think that's probably true across like most teams and most companies. So it's like we can continue to do more new things and we will experiment here and there, but like we think about getting reps in and doing things consistently is what leads to the ability to like layer on new stuff. So for us, that's like the focus. And then what comes out of that is a little bit unknown.
Yeah, I think that's smart. Okay, that's a wrap for today. If you have any marketers, founders, B2B creators, execs that you want me to interview to ask them about what's working in marketing for them, drop them in the comments below and I'll try to reach out to get them on the show. Thanks for watching.